So in this video, I would like to talk to you about how labor markets work, like how they function. Labor markets are complex and dynamic systems that are essential to the functioning of modern economies. Labor markets are places where employers and job seekers come together to exchange labor for wages. In this video, I will explain the fundamental principles that govern how labor markets work and what factors can affect them. First, it is important to understand that labor markets are subject to the forces of supply and demand. The supply of labor refers to the number of people who are willing to work, while the demand for labor refers to the number of workers that employees are willing to hire. The equilibrium wage rate is the price that balances the supply and demand for labor in a particular labor market. In a competitive labor market, wages will tend to adjust until the supply for labor equals the demand for labor and the equilibrium wage rate is reached. When there is a shortage of workers in a particular field, employers will offer higher wages to attract workers, and the equilibrium wage rate will rise. Conversely, when there is an oversupply of workers, employers will have the upper hand in negotiations, and wages will tend to fall until the equilibrium wage rate is reached. Another important factor that affects the labor market is productivity. Productivity is a measure of the amount of output that can be produced by a given amount of input, such as labor. In general, higher levels of productivity tend to result in higher wages, as workers who can produce more output per hour are more valuable to employers. This is because the employer can generate more revenue or profits with a more productive worker, so that this adds value to the worker. There are many other factors that can affect the labor market. For example, government policies such as minimum wage laws or unemployment benefits can affect the equilibrium wage rate by imposing a price floor or a price ceiling. Education and training can also play a significant role in determining wages, as workers with higher levels of education or specialized skills tend to earn higher wages than those with less education or fewer skills. Additionally, labor markets can be impacted by technological advancements and globalization. Advances in technology can lead to automation of certain jobs. This would reduce the demand for human labor in those fields. And meanwhile, globalization can increase competition for jobs, as workers in different parts of the world can now compete with each other for the same job. And lastly, labor markets can be subject to various forms of discrimination, including things like racial, gender, age discrimination. Discrimination can prevent certain groups of workers from obtaining jobs or earning the same wages as their peers. This can lead to inefficient allocation of labor resources, as highly qualified workers may be excluded from certain job opportunities due to discrimination. In conclusion, labor markets are complex systems, but they are essential to the functioning of our modern economies. The supply and demand for labor, along with the productivity and other factors, determine the equilibrium wage rate in a competitive labor market. However, government policies, education, and training, technological advances, globalization, and discrimination can all impact labor markets in various ways. Understanding how labor markets work is essential for policymakers, employers, and job seekers alike to ensure that workers are fairly compensated and that economies operate efficiently. Thank you for listening. This was my video about how labor markets work. I hope you enjoyed. I hope that you found this video at least a little bit informative. Thank you very much.